My uninvited sister-in-law ordered lobster on my tab, so I stuck her with the $800 bill. Sister-in-law ordered lobster and expensive wine. I said separate checks. The reservation was for 12, not 12-ish. Not 12 plus whoever happened to be hanging around the driveway. 12. I checked the confirmation on my phone for the third time as I handed my keys to the valet. Luca's Italian Steakhouse, 6:30 p.m. Party of 12. I am a logistics director for a national shipping conglomerate. My job is defined by capacity management. You cannot fit a 50-foot container onto a 40-foot chassis. You cannot squeeze 10 liters of liquid into a 5-liter bucket. Physics does not negotiate, and neither do I. Tonight was my son Leo's 10th birthday. It was a milestone, double digits. I had planned this dinner with the precision of a military operation. The guest list was curated. Me, my wife, Leo, Leo's 3 best friends from school, their parents, 3 couples, and my parents. 12 seats, private alcove, pre-ordered appetizers to hit the table at 6:45 p.m. I walked through the heavy mahogany doors, adjusting my cufflinks. I wanted this to be perfect. Leo had been talking about the big steak he was going to eat for a month. I approached the host stand. The maitre d', Marco, looked up. I've known Marco for 5 years. He's a man who usually possesses the calm demeanor of a bomb disposal expert. Tonight, Marco looked like he was about to cut the wrong wire. "Mr. Sterling," Marco said, his voice tight, "happy birthday to Leo, but we have a situation." "What situation?" I asked, scanning the dining room. "Your party," Marco whispered, leaning in. "They arrived early, and there are more of them than we anticipated. Significantly more." I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. "Who arrived early?" "Your sister-in-law," Marco said. "Mrs. Brenda. She said she was taking charge of the seating." I didn't need to hear more. I walked past the host stand, turned the corner into the main dining room, and stopped dead. My carefully reserved alcove, a semi-private space designed for intimate conversation, looked like a frat house cafeteria. The table for 12 was full, but it wasn't Leo's friends sitting at the head of the table. In the seat, specifically reserved for the birthday boy, was my sister-in-law, Brenda. Next to her was her husband, Todd. Next to them were their 3 teenage kids, and filling out the rest of the chairs were Brenda's parents, my wife's in-laws whom we had not invited, her best friend Misty, and Misty's 2 chaotic toddlers who were currently banging silverware against the imported china. 10 people, none of them invited. And standing awkwardly in the hallway looking like refugees at a border crossing were the actual guests. Leo's best friend Sam, Sam's parents, and my own mother and father. I walked up to the table. Brenda saw me and threw her arms up, knocking over a water glass. "David, you're here!" she shrieked. "Surprise! We decided to make it a real family affair. You can't turn 10 without the whole village, right?" She gestured grandly to the table. "We got here early to secure the spot. I told that stiff guy at the front that we were the Sterling party. He tried to give us grief about numbers, but I told him to just squeeze in some extra chairs." I looked at the table. There was no room to squeeze in a napkin, let alone 10 more people. "Brenda," I said, my voice low and level. "Where is Leo going to sit?" "Oh, we'll figure it out." She waved a dismissive hand, reaching for the bread basket. "The kids can squeeze into a booth or something. Or maybe the adults can stand and mix. It's a party, Dave. Loosen up." Todd poured Dave some wine. We ordered a few bottles to get started. I looked at the wine bottle on the table, a Barolo. $140 a bottle. They had opened 3. I looked at Leo. He was standing by the entrance holding his new Lego set, looking at his aunt occupying his birthday throne. He didn't look happy. He looked defeated. I looked at Sam's parents. They were checking their watches, clearly uncomfortable, probably wondering if they should just leave and go to McDonald's. "Get up," I said. The table went quiet. Misty's toddler stopped banging the spoon. "Excuse me?" Brenda laughed, a nervous, high-pitched sound. "David, don't be rude. We're family. We drove 40 minutes to be here." "You weren't invited," I said. "This is a reservation for 12. There are 12 invited guests standing in the hallway. You are occupying their seats." "Well, you can't just kick us out." Brenda's voice rose, attracting the attention of nearby diners. "That's humiliating. Look, just tell the waiter to push some tables together. We'll make it a big, long table. The more, the merrier." I looked at Marco, who had appeared at my elbow. "Marco," I asked, "can we combine tables?" Marco shook his head sadly. "I am sorry, Mr. Sterling. It is Saturday night. We are fully booked. I cannot block the fire aisle. The capacity of this section is strict." I turned back to Brenda. "You heard him. Move." Brenda crossed her arms, her face set into that stubborn, entitled mask I had seen 1,000 times. The mask she wore when she borrowed money she never paid back. The mask she wore when she dropped her kids off at our house for a quick hour that turned into a weekend. "No," she said. "We are seated. We have ordered. We are staying. If you want to be a terrible father and ruin Leo's birthday by making a scene, that's on you. But I am not moving my family." She picked up a menu. "Now, I think I'll have the lobster risotto." I stood there for 3 seconds. In my line of work, you constantly assess liability and leverage. If I screamed, I lost. If I physically removed them, I went to jail. If I sent the invited guests away, I ruined my son's night and damaged my relationships with his friends' parents. But there was another option. The logistical pivot. I turned to Marco. I put a hand on his shoulder and guided him a few steps away. "Marco," I said softly, "do you still have the executive room available in the back? The one with the AV equipment?" Marco's eyes lit up. "The boardroom?" "Yes. It is empty, but it is separated. It is very quiet." "Perfect," I said. "Move the Sterling birthday party, the real one, to the executive room. Set up for 12. Move the flowers. Move the cake." "And them?" Marco tilted his head toward Brenda's circus. "They seem comfortable," I said. "Leave them exactly where they are. They are a separate party. Understood?" Marco nodded. "And the billing?" I pulled my wallet out. I extracted my Amex Platinum. "This card covers the party in the executive room. The 12 guests I invited. No one else?" "And table 4? Marco asked, glancing at the empty wine bottles. "Table 4 is an independent group," I said clearly. "Treat them as walk-ins. Separate check. Do not authorize any charges to my card from that table. If they try to put it on my tab, you decline it." Marco smiled. It was a small, sharp smile. "Very good, Mr. Sterling. I will inform the server immediately." I walked back to the lobby. I gathered Leo, my wife, my parents, and the other families. "Change of plans," I announced, putting on my best host smile. There was a mix-up with the main seating, but Marco has upgraded us to the private executive suite. Much more exclusive. Follow me. Leo's face lit up. "A suite? A suite," I promised. We bypassed the main dining room entirely. I led them down the side corridor, past the kitchen, into the quiet wood-paneled sanctuary of the back room. It was beautiful, silent, private. As we walked past the archway of the main dining room, Brenda spotted us. "Where are you going?" she shouted, half rising from her chair. "We found another table," I called back, cheerful and vague. "You guys stay there, enjoy the food. We'll catch up after dessert." "Oh, great!" Brenda yelled, sitting back down. "Order the calamari for the table. We love it." I saw her turn to the waiter, a young guy named Kevin, and point aggressively at the menu. I saw her pouring another glass of the Barolo. She thought she had won. She thought she had bullied me into expanding the party, absorbing her intrusion into my budget like I always did. She thought the Bank of David was open for business. I closed the heavy oak doors of the executive room. The noise of the restaurant vanished. "This is nice," Sam's dad said, looking around. "Way better than the main floor." "Nothing but the best for Leo," I said. The dinner was flawless. We had a dedicated server. The kids laughed. The steaks were cooked to perfection. I didn't think about Brenda. I didn't check on them. I focused on my son blowing out his candles. 2 hours later, as we were finishing our espressos, Marco knocked on the door. He entered looking slightly pale. "Mr. Sterling," he said, "could I have a word?" I stepped out into the hallway. "The party at table 4, Marco said, lowering his voice. "They are ready to leave. They asked for the check to be added to yours, and you told them?" I told them that the Sterling party had already settled their bill and that their table was a separate transaction. And the lady, Mrs. Brenda, she is creating a disturbance. She says she refuses to pay. She claims you invited her. I checked my watch. 9:15 p.m., the perfect time for a lesson in accountability. "I'll handle it," I said. I walked back into the main dining room. The scene was chaotic. Table 4 was a disaster zone, plates piled high with half-eaten food, spilled wine on the tablecloth, and in the center of it, Brenda was screaming at Kevin, the terrified waiter. "This is illegal," she was yelling. "My brother-in-law is paying for this. He's in the back room. Go get him." "I am right here," I said, stepping into the light. Brenda spun around. Her face was flushed, her lipstick smeared. "David," she hissed, "what the hell is this?" "This idiot waiter brought us a bill for $800. I glanced at the leather folder on the table. "Sounds about right. 3 bottles of Barolo, 10 entrees, appetizers, desserts. Inflation is tough, isn't it?" "Fix this," she demanded, pointing a manicured finger at my chest. "Put your card down. We are your guests." "You are not my guests," I said, loud enough for the tables nearby to hear. "I invited 12 people. They are in the back room. You brought 10 uninvited people, hijacked a reserved table, and ordered without looking at the prices because you assumed I was a doormat." "We are family," Todd chimed in, standing up. He looked wobbly. "You don't treat family like this." "Family asks," I said. "Parasites invade." "How dare you?" Brenda gasped. "I don't have $800, David. We can't pay this." "Then you shouldn't have ordered the tomahawk ribeye," I said, pointing to the bone on Todd's plate. "That's a market price item. Usually runs about $120. "I thought it was a set menu," Todd stammered. "It was," I said. "For my guests. You weren't part of the set." Brenda's eyes darted around the room. She saw the other diners staring. She saw the manager standing by the kitchen with his arms crossed. She saw the reality closing in. "David, please." She dropped her voice to a whisper. "Don't do this. Not in front of the kids. Just pay it, and I'll pay you back next week." I laughed. It was a cold, dry sound. "Brenda, you still owe me $300 for the bounce house from Leo's 5th birthday. You owe me $500 for the emergency car repair last year. I have a spreadsheet. Do you want to see it?" "I'm begging you," she said. Tears were forming now. Real panic. "I can't help you," I said. "My bill is settled. This is between you and the restaurant." I turned to Marco. "Was the service at this table adequate?" "We tried our best," Marco said. "Then I suggest you add the mandatory 20% gratuity for large parties," I said. "Kevin worked hard." I walked away. "David," Brenda screamed after me. "If you walk out that door, we are done. Do you hear me? I will never speak to you again." I stopped. I turned back one last time. "Is that a promise?" I asked. "Can I get that in writing?" I went back to the executive room. I gathered my party. We exited through the rear staff door, another perk of knowing the layout, so Leo wouldn't have to see his aunt arguing with the police. Because that's who showed up. I found out the details the next morning from my mother-in-law, who had been at my table, horrified by her other daughter's behavior. Apparently, Brenda and Todd didn't have the money. They had 3 maxed-out credit cards and a debit card that was declined. They spent an hour trying to call friends to Venmo them cash. Eventually, Brenda had to leave her driver's license and her iPhone with the manager as collateral, while Todd drove to 3 different ATMs to scrape together cash from his overdraft protection. They were banned from Lucas for life. My phone blew up the next day, of course. Brenda text, "You are a monster. You humiliated us. I hope you feel good about yourself. A rich man stepping on the poor." Me reply, "I'm not rich because I step on the poor. I'm comfortable because I don't buy $140 wine when I have $40 in the bank." Brenda text, "You ruined the family dynamic. Mom is crying." Me reply, "Mom is crying because she raised a daughter who thinks theft is a love language." I didn't block her. I wanted the receipts. I screenshotted every text, every threat, every guilt trip. I filed them in a folder labeled Brenda Do Not Admit. The fallout was predictable. My wife was shaken, feeling the phantom guilt that toxic siblings always install in their victims. "Did we go too far?" she asked me Sunday night, staring at the ceiling. "Maybe we should have just paid half." "No," I said, taking her hand. "If we paid half, they would have learned nothing. If we paid it all, they would have done it again at Christmas. We didn't do this to them, honey. They sat in the chair, they ordered the steak, they drank the wine. All I did was refuse to pick up the check." A week later, I got a notification from Lucas. It was a thank you email from Marco. "Mr. Sterling, thank you for your patronage. We apologize for the disturbance. Please accept this $200 gift certificate for your next visit. We have updated your file, strictly no add-ons authorized." I forwarded the email to my wife. Look, I said. Profit. Leo's birthday was saved. My credit card statement was accurate. And for the first time in 10 years, the next family gathering is going to be incredibly quiet. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is a boundary that costs exactly $800.